Chocolate cake is one of the most iconic desserts ever. But what if you don't have the time or the inclination to bake your own? Worry not, chocoholics. We've put the store-bought stuff through a taste test and ranked them all from worst to fudgy first. This video was adapted from an article on Chowhound by Sarah Moore, whose taste tests involved 6 family members in total, using a scale of 1 to 5. At the risk of being incredibly rude, I must say that this brand is in no danger of ending up on anyone's list of nostalgic cakes. It was universally loathed, bombing in every possible category: flavor, cake, frosting, and overall. It was just plain disgusting. At only $2.44 a slice, this isn't super surprising, since you get what you pay for. But even then, it was a bit of a shock. That's a pretty damning indictment. Avoid Walmart's bakery at all costs.
Run away! Run away! Run away!
I associate Pepperidge Farm with good times. Pretty much every cookie in their product line is a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. So imagine my dismay when its chocolate fudge layer cake turned out to instead be truly gross. I had high hopes, considering it only cost $5.99 for the entire thing. Again though, you get what you pay for. With a total score of 1.67, 3 people gave it all 1s, 2 people gave it all 2s, and 1 ranked it slightly higher but also noted that it tasted like cheap oil. This is far from a rousing endorsement. Despite the good deal, stay away from this one. There are better deals to come, promise. This cupcake was so dang cute that I automatically assumed it would be delicious. We were all looking forward to trying it, and the biggest concern up front was that there wouldn't be enough for 6 of us. In the end though, that was far from the biggest concern.
Is that chocolate or poop? Is that chocolate or poop?
It's chocolate.
What if that had been poop?
Perhaps the oddest thing about this cupcake was that its frosting tasted exactly like peanut butter. But the bakery's whole shtick is that it is free of both tree nuts and peanuts. That said, Just Desserts does have a few things going for it. It's adorable, so it would make a decent treat for someone who has a nut allergy. It also only costs $3.29, so if you hadn't just tried 10 other types of chocolate cake, you might go easier on it flavor-wise. Overall, I wouldn't run away from it, but I would definitely choose any of the higher-ranked options over it. Despite its fancy name, Profit Selection is a relatively low-quality brand. You can find it at Kroger, Ralph's, Walmart, and Amazon, and Fred Meyer. Because it is somewhat reasonably priced at $3.99 for a decent-sized triple chocolate cupcake, I initially had high hopes. But they were dashed upon tasting, as the cake and frosting tasted mostly of hydrogenated oils. The triple chocolate designation reflects the fact that the cake, frosting, and pudding center are all made of chocolate. However, the pudding was not, in fact, located right in the center of the cupcake. That meant that when I sliced into it to create 6 servings, only 1 slice had a decent hunk of pudding. While the lucky recipient of that piece ranked it higher than anyone else, everyone else was surprised to discover it was even there. Truly, the proof was in the pudding. Since cupcakes are typically considered a solo food venture, you can assume that most eaters would get the tasty inside and rank this a little higher than we did. The Safeway Hershey's Bistro cake was neither the best nor the worst of the lot. It is true that this cake seems better suited to kids' birthday parties than anything else, but then again, if you were having a children's birthday party, it might just do the trick. On the other hand, at $7 a slice, it was certainly no steal. Granted, buying a whole cake is always more economical than buying by the slice, and we were unable to price that out at the store because they didn't have one. So it's really up to you if you want to go check it out and see if it might be worth it. The cute mini Hershey's bar on the top was a nice touch, and the frosting was pretty good. If you can ignore the fact that it's the questionable brown hue one normally associates with a changing table.
We're number 2! We're number 2!
Please note that Albertsons and Safeway use the same bakery, so we didn't bother testing the former. You can safely assume that this cake will be represented at either store, so choose the nearest one to you. By far the biggest cake we tried, Costco's also looked the nicest. With a gorgeous light brown mousse on the inside, dark chocolate ganache frosting, complete with pretty sprinkles, it would look great on a revolving stand, accompanied by a matching cake server. At only $16.99 for the entire thing, it's a good deal too. But then, that's to be expected from the warehouse chain. At 3.5 out of 5, it sits right in the middle of our list. I should note that this was the last one we tried, which isn't fair to it at all. If you've ever tried 11 chocolate cakes, then you know firsthand the crippling lack of enthusiasm that comes with sampling the final contestant.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
By that time, we wanted nothing more than a nap, not additional cake and frosting. So all said, it's actually kind of impressive that it scored as high as it did. And when I tried it again the next day, I found it to be much better. Overall, if you just want to eat a slice or serve a few guests at a casual dinner party, there are better options. However, if you're trying to make a fancy impression, this cake has plenty of flavor and panache, and I'd say go for it, especially if you're a loyal Costco consumer. If you've ever tasted gluten-free baked goods, then no one needs to convince you that they can be seriously dicey. Subbing out your typical white flour for an alternative kind of often leads baked goods to be gluey, chewy, dense, and either too wet or too dry. But Simple Truth's gluten-free double chocolate cake, on the other hand, it absolutely hit the mark. Unsurprisingly, this cake did not come in first place. It was still slightly gummy, even if it wasn't as dense as many other gluten-free cakes. But it was a nice, moist, dark chocolate with a reasonably airy crumb, despite its density. Moreover, my family unanimously rated the frosting quite highly, although it only got an overall rating of 3.83. Plus, this cake was both cute and affordable. It's the perfect size for 6 people, given the 6 individual frosting swirls piped on the top, which made it really easy to know where to cut. At only $8.99 for the entire thing, it would make an amazing host gift for someone with a gluten sensitivity, and I wouldn't be shy about serving it at an intimate dinner party. When you come across a piece of packaged chocolate cake at a store that only costs $3, you are right to be suspicious. Our experience with the other cheap options on this list taught us that. However, Bakery Fresh is a nice surprise. The brand offers a nice big hunk of cake with a decent slather of frosting across the top. The packaging describes it as whipped icing, and we thought it fit the bill, with a nice consistency that doesn't become overpowering as quickly as Ganache can. Overall, this cake was surprisingly good, considering it was a cheap brand. It tasted like something you might make at home in your electric stand mixer, or with a nice boxed mix of devil's food cake. Other members of the family were not quite as enthusiastic as me, but that's okay. I'm the one you should listen to, right?
That's the fact, Jack! That's a fact, Jack!
Given Whole Foods' reputation as a purveyor of gourmet foods, not to mention a price of $4.99 for a tiny slice, you would expect this cake to be good, and it didn't disappoint. The Whole Foods bakery I visited actually offered its chocolate eruption cake as both a slice and a cupcake. But I elected to taste the cake slice because the cupcake had an odd dome of frosting that was then dipped in a coating of ganache. I didn't think that would be representative of a full cake. If you are looking for just a personal serving though, just know that there is a cupcake option in the same section as the sliced cake. As for the cake itself, it was pretty banging. 2 family members gave it straight 5s, 2 gave it a mix of 4s and 5s, and 2 rated it all 3s. We tried it right in the middle of the taste test, so we'd taken the edge off our desire for sweetness, but hadn't yet made ourselves sick. Thus, simple chocolate fatigue isn't the answer. I just didn't think it was anything special. The cake was fine, the frosting was fine, and the result was fine. But the piece was so small, it felt like I was eating a molecular gastronomy creation. And I'm in too much debt to pay almost $5 for a few mouthfuls. My husband's comment upon tasting the Trader Joe's chocolate lava cake was, "Why didn't we just eat 11 of these?" And honestly, that's pretty much all you need to know about it. It was freaking delicious. And at only $3.79 for a box of 2, that's saying something. Our delight was especially noteworthy considering we tried it 10th, and we're already seriously flagging in our cake enthusiasm. The takeaway? Molten chocolate centers are simply irresistible, and life's too short to try and resist them.
It's chocolate! I love chocolate!
My favorite thing about these cakes is how easy they are. You get them in the frozen section at Trader Joe's and keep them in the freezer until you're ready to eat them. Then all you do is remove them from their packaging, upend the little cups on a microwave-safe plate, and pop them in. The directions say to heat them up for 45 seconds, but I started at 30 and that was enough. The only downside is that these cakes really are a personal serving. As soon as you cut into them, the center spills out, which kind of ruins the effect vis-a-vis of serving. You've basically got to give everyone their own cake, which can add up if you need to accommodate more than 6 people. When compared to the price of a bakery cake, it's not actually that bad. But compared to number 1 on our list, there's no need to spend the extra bucks. If you don't feel like buckling down to bake with chocolate yourself, then this is the cake for you. Trader Joe's dark chocolate ganache sheet cake has all the elements you want in a casual dessert that serves 4 to 6 people. It's affordable at $4.99 with moist cake and delicious chocolate. The packaging is cute, and it can be served at room temperature or straight from the fridge. It slices up nicely and looks good on a plate. I would happily purchase this for everything from a low-key weeknight birthday party to a Sunday dinner dessert, and the whole family agreed. 4 out of 6 of us ranked it 5s across the board, with only 1 dissenter who gave it straight 2s, disliking both its flavor and its consistency. Most of us, however, were completely sold on it. If you live near a TJ's and want a little sweet treat for the chocolatey set, then this is hands down the one to choose.